topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Table Live. We're your hosts, Melanie Young and David Ransom, your insatiably curious culinary couple. We like to travel the world to bring you the delicious places we go, the people we meet, the wines we sip, and the foods we taste, and bring it back to you so you can make informed decisions about what you want to eat and drink and hopefully step outside of your comfort zone to enjoy. So we are taking you around the world, really, to talk about a wine category this show. We're talking about rosé wines, which have a huge boom in an industry where decline is the decline in consumption is like talked about all the time. Rosé seems to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's still a growth category within wine, although wine consumption in general has decreased. So it's a big thing. So, but it's spring. So spring means, in my eyes, lighter wines and pink wines.
Well, yes, but I like rosé year round. But yes, summer is the rosés. In fact, there's a wine called the Summer of Rosé. But interesting, the global rosé wine market, little business, rose about 12.6 billion. So it's a pretty big market with the premium category, growing about 34%, and organic 45%. And of course, the consumers are always looking for rosés that are organic and potentially lower in alcohol. That's about 9% of global wine production based on globalgrowthinsights.com from 2025. Really sizable. Of course, the majority is from France. 45% of premium rosés are from Provence. However, while France remains the benchmark for many fine rosés, you can get premium rosés from around the world. And we're going to talk about that today on the Connected Table. We're going to talk about rosé styles, how it's made, and selections that we have been lucky enough to been sent to try, and we want to share with you. It is a category that is still appealing, thankfully, to younger wine drinkers who aren't drinking wine, but they're drinking rosé. And even though we both believe it's a year-round wine to enjoy year-round, spring and summer are rosé seasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we get all the pitches in spring and summer for rosé. And it's funny because Jacques Pepin says in this book, I have this book, it's delightful. It's called Drink Pink, A Celebration of Rosé. It's by Victoria James, who's a highly respected sommelier. I think she's a master sommelier. And Chef Jacques Pepin says, rosé is probably the most unpretentious and democratic of all wines. Something you drink while playing boule, how Jacques, or going mushrooming, how double Jacques. Or in our case, hang out by the pool and entertain with friends.
Yeah, or anytime.
And just enjoy any time with many of those amazing spicy dishes that we consume here in New Orleans and all that. You just want a refreshing, crisp, high-acid wine in the summer. And rosé suits the bill, right?
Yeah, I think it was about, 10 or 12 years ago that we started seeing hashtags like rosé all day and drink rosé wine, et cetera, et cetera. And my first trip to rosé country in Provence, actually, down in the Côte de Provence, which is really the benchmark rosés considered in the marketplace, was in 2017. I probably visited 30 producers and spent a week there and had a great time. And learned a lot about rosé production from that. And that's really still the region, although there's great rosé wine made not only all over France, but all over the world now. And it's a treat to see that it's really kind of gained such purchase in the marketplace.
Right. And it's a wine that has few rules when it comes to production. You can make it from any red grape, and even though a few people mix in white, it's considered a no-no. The two main ways to make rosé are saignée, which is the French term for bleeding. Basically, it's like a free run juice that comes off the macerated red grapes, and it's the juice that runs off, and that's the rosé. The other is maceration or skin contact, which is how you make most wines. And the red grape skins, because you start with red grapes, are left in contact for a very short period of time with the skin, and obviously the length of time that the juice remains in contact with the skin determines the color of the hue for rosé, which can be very, very pale, pale pink. We've seen it almost white pink to very dark, almost red, like a Chiaroscuro d'Abruzzo. And within that, and this is the most popular and expressive way to make rosé. So two ways of producing it, many, many grapes. And within that, many, many hues and many, many flavor profiles.
Yeah, you can pretty much make rosé out of any red grape.
Exactly.
And you can also make a rosé out of white grapes as well by blending a little bit of red wine into them. But that kind of, for the purposes of today, isn't really what we're talking about.
Yeah, the French would call that déclassé. So you can do it, but it's not really the cool way to do it. It's the better way is the maceration.
Although in Champagne, rosé Champagne is made that way.
Yes.
And that is the de facto way to make champagne. Right. Rosé Champagne is you're making a white champagne and then you're adding a little bit of red wine into it to give it color. So that's
Champagne rules.
De rigueur, as they say.
Yeah, de rigueur there, déclassé elsewhere. Champagne rules a whole different ballgame. With rosé, it's two styles predominantly to make it, and many styles, two methods of production, and many, many types of grapes that we can use, which is why you will get different flavor profiles as you travel. As we noted, and we'll start with France because it still remains the benchmark. We did a project years ago with Wines of Provence, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 key production regions within Provence, which I think I just earlier said is about 45% of the market. And those wines tend to be very pale and crisp and high acid. And if you go there and you see the soils, the very specific soils that lend to that, and you are so close to the sea, so you've got that little salinic character to them. Those are the benchmarks. However, we have traveled to the Rhone Valley and had some exceptional rosés there, as well as Languedoc-Roussillon.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, you can really find rosé everywhere. So some great rosés are produced in Italy. Some others are produced in Spain. And then there's also wonderful rosés produced on this side of the pond as well. And so it really depends. Pretty much every producer these days that has a red wine production facility is making rosé on the side. So they're making a little bit of rosé every year to feed their customer base that likes their brand. Yeah. For the most part, almost everybody's making a rosé.
Well, it's a smart business decision because a lot of, maybe your consumer does not want red wine, but they want something that's got a little more personality than a white. Maybe they don't want a white wine. So this fits that bill, and it's quick to make. Yeah. It doesn't take a long time.
Especially with younger drinkers and people that just want a good glass of wine. In the summertime, in the heat, rosé really fits the bill well.
Also, I think we've talked about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, when it's not the most ideal harvest for red grapes, you can take those grapes and make rosé.
Correct.
Right.
We have talked about that before.
Yeah, we have. It's like, well, it wasn't so great here. Make rosé because you can make a terrific rosé again with the bled juice or the lighter pressing. And couple of things. You tend to drink rosé young and fresh. Most of the wines we're tasting now are 2023 up to 2024 right now. I don't know. Do we have any 2025s? I don't know. Mostly 2022s, but you can age them as well.
There's some 25s out there.
Yeah, a few. And recently, we're going to talk about some of the rosés we have been sent or have tasted. They're coming in. They're coming in by the caseloads over the next several weeks. But because it's beginning of May 2026, we wanted to get a leg up on rosé now, since I know you're thinking about what you're going to drink and what you're going to buy and stock up for entertaining this summer. You can age rosé, and some are better at it than others. We actually were sent. Domaine Tempier is one of the benchmarks in the south of France, for example, and that is a ageable rosé. Another one is the AOC of Marsanne in Burgundy. We were sent a newsletter from Martine Saulnier's wine company. She passed away, and fortunately, her wines are still continuing under MS Wines. And the newsletter was so well written that I wrote the company. I said, "Can we try this rosé?" It was a Marsanais rosé, so that's Burgundy. And this one area of Burgundy, Marsanais, is one of the few.
Marsanais is one of the areas in the Côte d'Or.
Yeah, so
great Burgundy,
right,
great Burgundy production region.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the Côte d'Or, which is Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune. This is one of the few and only, I think the only AOC in this area that is allowed to make 3 styles of wine: red, white, and rosé. So that's intriguing as it is. And this is a 2023 that we tried. The producer is Charles Audouin. I actually worked my pronunciation. Audouin, which is a 4th and 5th generation producer that's been making wines in Marsanais. I don't think we went to Marsanais when we were in Burgundy.
We did not.
We need to go back to Burgundy. But it's beautiful. It was it had a little more heft to it. It was 100% Pinot Noir, because we're talking about Burgundy. And it had more, it was salmon colored. And we happened to have it with salmon that you serve beautifully with leftover boiled crawfish.
I did. A little bit of spice to it too, which was nice. So it kind of fit the bill with the rosé very well.
Yeah, it really, really did. So that was an example of one with more hue and a little, not heft, but fruitiness to it. And I think you and I both appreciate those styles because they are more gastronomic versus a bone dry, pale pink one as which is an aperitif.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the pitfalls that people find when they're looking for rosé, and they immediately go to places like Provence, which really makes rosé to be drunk at a young age, kind of push it out the door and sell bottle after bottle of it. It is very popular. It's also very good. However, the ones that are made in Provence tend not to age all that well because they're not made to age. They're not vinified to actually spend time in the bottle. Whereas there are other places in the world, and also in France, where they do make more gastronomic rosés that are meant to age a little bit in the bottle before the cork is pulled.
Why don't we talk about that?
Yeah. So, and one of the regions is it's just west of Burgundy in the Loire Valley, is the region of Anjou, which makes great rosé, and it's one of the oldest AOCs for rosé in France. And they make some lovely rosé. They're a little bit darker, but they're also meant to age.
And some have a little more. There's different styles of rosé d'Anjou. So some will have a little more residual sugar, and some will be drier. So when you were purchasing a rosé d'Anjou, it helps to ask your retailer, if you're buying at retail, whatever, about the residual sugar, because you may get a style that may be a little sweeter than you're liking or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other that's super important is a little farther south and down is Tavel in the Rhone, which is a region, an AOC dedicated to rosé. And those are gastronomic rosés. They are made with the typical Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault, Mourvedre, the main Rhone grape varieties. You'll get different blends. Most rosés are single variety rosés, single varietal. You'll get like 100% Pinot Noir. But in some, like Tavel, you will get blends. So that's another where some AOCs and AOPs and whatever, there's rules as to percentages of blends, as well as how the wines are made and aged. Rosé kind of doesn't have a rule book for that. And like we said, the hues can be different. The Tavel wines tend to have a more heft to them and fruitiness. And one that we like that we went to was Domaine de la Morteray and Alain Jaume Tavel Rosé, and Domaine Cornloup. Oh, that one was a beautiful wine.
Very nice wines.
We went there with a Casella Perry fee one year, and we had to go to this area and had some beautiful wines. And also, I think when we traveled with Rhone Valley Vineyards, we went there.
Yeah.
This is a small area.
I actually like Tavel. It's a little miniature plateau on the west side of the Rhone River, and it's really quite beautiful.
Yeah.
And very gravelly soils.
Yes.
Lots of sun. Of course, all of Provence has a lot of sun in the summertime, but it's just a wonderful region to drive through and see. It's pretty small. There's a very I think, very few producers there, considering
Yeah.
the size of the area. So it has that a little bit of wildness to it as well. I
Mm-hmm.
really love Tavel, and I really love Tavel wines. They're a little bit darker than your
Mm-hmm.
traditional Côte de Provence rosés.
Mm-hmm.
The grapes are pretty much the same, a lot of Grenache, etc.
Yeah.
But
So you get that fruit.
But the wines are really meant to be gastronomic rosé. So there's something that people want to sit down and have with a meal, not just slug back by the pool.
So this is a rule. Color does not indicate quality.
Yeah.
You've got to taste the wine in the bottle, and rosés will change in terms of where they're made because the grapes are different and the terroir is different. And the wines we're talking about are wines that do reflect the terroir of the area. There are, sadly, mass-produced rosés because when some producers see that there's money to be made, they'll make generic rosés, like they make generic whites. Try to steer away from those if you can. We support smaller producers. However, there are some very big names in the industry that make perfectly fine rosés. I mean, Jérôme Bertrand is a big name in the Languedoc.
Gerard Bertrand, yeah.
Yeah, and they make very good rosés.
One of the largest producers in France.
Yeah,
pretty much definitely the largest producer in the Languedoc region, which makes a lot of wine in the south of France, southwestern area of France. And he makes some wonderful rosés.
Yeah,
and they're well available in the marketplace in the United States. And so they make great sparkling wine as well. They actually just came out with a new sparkling rosé this year. That's another category of rosé wine that's really on the uptick right now.
And very
sparkling
good.
Rosé.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be that you could get your bottle of Billecart Salmon Rosé, and that was about it.
Well, that was your champagne,
and that was champagne, but that was about the only sparkling rosé you could find, right?
Right.
And it's one of your favorites, of course.
Well, Melanie. I love a good rosé champagne.
That said, now there's sparkling wine that's rosé that's made in many, many regions around France and around the world as well.
Well, actually, and when we get to Italy, rosé is now being made in Prosecco too. I mean, the sparkling rosé category is such a big category that Prosecco producers, which are fighting so hard to have a protected wine, are now making rosé.
Yes, exactly.
And in port, you're getting rosé ports. It's everywhere. It really is. Some other big names. We actually were sent some wines. They arrived this morning, actually, from our friends at Vineyard Brands, which always sends us some terrific wines. And they have, they are an importer here. There's some wonderful importers. We love all the importers, and they're welcome to send us rosés to try. We just happen to have on hand some terrific ones from Vineyard Brands, and of course, one of the other big names is Famille Perrin. The Famille Perrin family. The Perrin family has a foothold in the Rhone, and they make wines in quite the range. So you'll get they're available everywhere. Vieille Ferme, I think it's like under $10. SRP $12 here because I guess tariffs brought everything up. But we can get it for we used to get it for $8.99. A perfectly fine, drinkable, enjoy every day. You're on a budget. You just want to go on a picnic. Fresh, fruity. It's America's #1 selling French wine produced by the Rhone Valley Specialists. So that's Famille Perrin. But if you want to take it a step up, I'm looking at my notes, so sorry. If you want to take a step up, they have a signature rosé from the Côte du Rhône because the Rhone's a very big area. And this is a 2024. We talked to vintages, and that one is $16. Mm-hmm. And it's more of a paler pink color. I had a beautiful photo. I guess it didn't make it to the thing, but we'll put it up on the Connected Table on Instagram. It's a much paler pink color. And then the Famille Perrin Côte du Rhône Reserve Rosé. So that one is made with specific, vineyard grapes. So you're going to get, that's why it's called Reserve, because again, it isn't really saying any other reason. But it's in Grenache, Mourvedre, and Syrah. So we're talking about blended rosés here versus single variety. Mm-hmm. Another big name, of course, is Chateau Minuti, Miraval, Whispering Angel. Those are all big name, easily available. Yes, mass-produced, but big name and still very good quality rosés from France. They're also super, super popular. Now, while we're still in France, let's talk about some that you may not know about.
Well, another nice Côte de Provence rosé that I like is Domaine de la Mayonnette, which is brought in by our friends at Casella Perry as well. Also very nice. and that's Côte de Provence. But also, one of the most exclusive regions of rosé production and wine production in France is the region of Bandol.
Yes.
Which is right down on the coast in the south of France. So there's a number of producers there. They all make a small amount of wine, which is one of the reasons that Bandol is maybe the most expensive of the rosés in France.
Yes, and there's Domaine Tempier, which is like the highest
great
of the high.
stuff. And Domaine Haut is from there as well.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody loves a glass of Haut, right? But one of my favorites is Domaine de la Begude. Begude, which is another Bandol rosé.
Was that a Casella one?
And it's a family, like most of the producers in that area. It's family owned and family run. So
the vineyard brands has Hecht and Bannier, Bannie are Bandol rosé. The AOC is Bandol, so we're talking about Bandol. There's like 4 key AOCs in southern Provençal area of France for rosé. This is a 2023. We talked about vintages. It's $32 SRP. And this area, they say one of the unique selling points about Bandol, and I've been there. I actually went there because I read an MFK Fisher book. She wrote about Bandol rosé and eating.
We went there together.
Yeah, I went alone once, sadly. Oh. And it was because MFK Fisher, one of my favorite writers, wrote about Bandol rosé and eating them with sardines, sardines. And to this day, I still hate the sardines, love the rosé.
There you go.
But it says in Bandol, nestled between the Mediterranean Sea, Saint-Baume Mountain, and Mount Combe, the vineyards are on terraces called restants. So these are higher elevation for this area, stony terraces. And you're going to get this particular one, the Bandol Rosé is aged, bottle aged after 5 years. So it's got a longer aging. So yes, you can enjoy an aged rosé. Bandol is known for them, as is Burgundy, Marsanne. So that one's a bit more. 32 is probably the higher end. The Domaine Tempiers are quite up there too in the 30s, and at a restaurant list a lot more. They also have one, the same producer, Hecht and Bannier, Languedoc Rosé. So Languedoc makes a lot of rosé too, and at a lower price point because it's a much bigger region. They're very plentiful in the grapes. Some crazy amount of wine is made in Languedoc.
It's huge.
Yeah, crazy. And their one there, which is Syrah, Grenache, and Cinsault. So there's similar grape varieties in Provence and the Rhone. But over in Languedoc, they're going to be a little less expensive, and that's SRP $17. This is home to the oldest and largest vineyard in France. And it's Hecht and Bannier again. So you can get a Hecht and Bannier from $17 to $32, which it's not just Hecht and Bannier, any rosé. You can find them from $12 to $35 or $50.
And they're very nice people. They do kind of negociant style wines as well, but they are in full charge of production. And I had lunch with them when I was in Provence a number of years ago.
Hecht and Bannier?
Yeah, we had it was really very nice people, very nice wines as well. And well available in the United States.
Now, can we go back up to the Loire for a minute? We were just there with the Anjou Rosé. Another interesting, the Loire has, it's predominantly, and we just did a show on Loire, known for its white wines. It has exceptional red wines, and Cabernet Franc is the lead grape, then Côte, which is Malbec and Cabernet and Gamay. The Domaine Grosbeau Chinon Extra Ball Rosé is 100% Cabernet. It is still, I'm looking at the color of it. We don't have it. It's a paler pink. So it's obviously got a very light maceration, but it's a lovely style from the Loire.
Yeah. And the Loire is really well known for its Cabernet Franc, and especially in the region of Chinon and also Anjou.
Right.
They grow a lot of Cabernet Franc. So the base of the rosé is Cabernet Franc.
But this one's only $13.
So it makes a little bit of a different, more spicy style of rosé, which I really tend to like.
I think that's a great way to say it. The spice is special. Again, this Domaine Grosbeau Chinon is only $13 a bottle. So it's at that end of the spectrum. And we'll put all of these up on the Connected Table .com blog.
Yeah, and there's a number of really good producers of Anjou Rosé and Loire Rosé as well. Another one of my favorites, again from our friends at Casella Perry Fee in Virginia, is Alain de la Traye. They make two rosés actually. One is a Loire Rosé. It's called Le Rosé, and then the other is the Anjou Rosé. which is an AOC designated rosé that they make, and it's absolutely delicious, both of them.
Yeah, and you can get sparkling rosé in most of
Mhm.
these areas as well. Or Clement
Yeah.
rosé sparkling in the Loire, in Alsace. Again, you'll find rosés throughout France.
Yeah.
The benchmarks tend to be this Provence, Rhone, and
Which is,
Languedoc.
I think, and one of the reasons we're not really spending a lot of time on Côte de Provence rosé today is because
Right.
it's kind of a category in itself. That there's so much wine made from there and in that style. There's really too many to mention, along with all these others. So we're kind of sticking away from Provence.
But if I'm out buying wine,
Yeah.
the first one we look at is your Bieler. We like that.
Yeah.
So the one when we go to Hawaii where everything's expensive, we go to the Gerard Bieler. Bieler's a big name in Provence, and those are like $16.99 now, right? Something like that.
It depends.
Depends. I know these days prices fluctuate, but that's one of our go-tos. So we do, Provençal rosés still are a go-to for us, but we always look at who the producer is. So here's a tip: if you're going to the retail market, look at who is the producer, what is the region, who is the producer, and who is the importer. Because when in doubt, try to align with importers whose wines you like, because they tend to be consistent. So that's a way to do it. We love a lot of importers, and we love them when they send us wines to try, because there's so much out there, and it can get confusing when you're at the supermarket or a retail, and all you see is just a line of pink or three shelves of pink. It can get very confusing. So try to think about the region, if it mentions the grape, and the importer helps, because you'll know if you like those wines, other wines from that importer, you'll probably like his wine or her wine too. Should we go to another country?
Well, I mean,
or do you want to stay in France?
We talked a lot about. Sorry, I have a hiccup. Talked a lot about France. Why don't we?
That's
there's also a lot of good rosé made in Italy.
Yes.
And we spent a lot of time in Italy, so we've had a lot of it over the years, but also in France and also in Portugal now. So
let's talk about Italy, because
some of my favorite rosés, and I've written about this extensively, as have you, have been from Italy.
Yes.
And I think a couple of the production regions that really are tops in rosé production for me, the first would be Puglia. I think the wines from Puglia, the rosés from Puglia, are top notch, and it really kind of kickstarted the rosé production phenomenon in Italy maybe about 10, 12 years ago.
You know what mine is?
What?
Where I've been twice, Lake Garda, Chiaretto.
Well,
Chiaretto means pink.
I'm fully aware.
Well, they are. You, yes. Of course you are, but I'm talking to other people. And so Chiaretto is pink, and it is a category of rosé wines made around Lake Garda,
which is up in the Veneto area, which is north of Venice and north and west of Venice.
Well, what's interesting is actually Lake Garda cuts in the Veneto, but also in Lombardia. And depending on what bank of the lake you're on, the grapes are different.
Yes.
So on one end, there's different grapes from the other. You're going to have more Veneto grapes to the eastern shore, and more Sangiovese and Grobbolo to the western shore. The styles range. They are, like many rosé producers, trying to go paler. Some of the old country rosés were dark, and for a while, and mistakenly, it was a perception that to sell them and be perceived as quality, they needed to go paler. But I think people are getting wise and realizing that pale doesn't always mean the best quality either. It can, but you want the beautiful darker color rosés as well. But there's many Chiaretto wines out there. Yes. Too many to mention.
Chiaretto is a great, and it's DOCG.
Yeah.
Which is the top level of quality according to the Italian Wine Consortium governing body, right? So it is a top level rosé, and then there are a couple of others as well. I think another area that I like, speaking of east coast of the Italian boot, would be in Abruzzo, the Cerezuolo wines. Cerezuolo d'Abruzzo
are a category unto themselves, because these are dark rosés made from the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo grape variety, which is specific to Abruzzo. And these are dark gastronomic is Masciarelli, which is probably one of the best known producers, makes some beautiful ones. You can also stay there. We did. That's not the only one. I mean, if you go to, if you can get a hold of a Gambero Rosso, which is the guide to the top Italian wines, a ratings guide, that's a good source for gathering information on top rated Italian wines. It's not the only source, but it's a good one. And Terrasuolo d'Abruzzo is a darker style of rosé. It almost looks like a red wine or a light red wine. Just beautiful, beautiful wines. And that area is known for seafood. This is a dark rosé seafood wine. It really is. We've been all over Tuscany. We've been to Sicily, make some beautiful rosés. They're everywhere now, and of course the grapes are different in Italy because grapes, there's like 200 grapes in Italy. The rosés will be different in style.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the joys of exploring and trying the different rosés from all around Italy when we go there. Is that because the grapes are so different, and everybody kind of grows the grapes of their region.
Yeah,
they're making rosé with that grape. It becomes very interesting to me. If you make a rosé from Sangiovese versus Montepulciano d'Abruzzo versus one of the Chiaretto grapes or versus something down in Puglia, they're very different when they make red wines out of them. So the rosés are going to reflect that.
And the same goes. So I think France remains the biggest producer, then Italy, and then the other big producer is Spain. And right now, again, you can get rosés all over Spain, but Rioja is knocking it out of the ballpark.
And they have been for a long time.
Doing great. Another big region is Navarra and Cigales, which is a lesser known up in the Castilla y León area, and that's known for its rosés. My first trip to Spain, we went to Cigales, and it was like very unknown at the time, and it was the only place making rosés because that was many years ago. I mean, a lot of the regions have gotten into the rosé market more. Rioja is a great example of that because it is a great business opportunity. I think one of my favorite Rioja producers and also rosé producers is Muga. We've not had Mon Muga on the show,
which is a Rioja producer.
Yeah, it's a Rioja
producer, very well known for their red wines.
Alavesa, and terrific rosé though, really terrific. One of my favorites. There's many. I think here another one that we were sent from our friends at Vineyard Brands. I'm going to pull it up just while I'm here because I keep looking at this. I think it's Marqués de Cáceres, another big name. Also from Rioja. Theirs is 100% Tempranillo. Better known for the red wines, but it's a pale rosé because, again, I think they're all trying to make pale rosés. But I think that's the only one here from that end. But basically all the red Miguel Torres, that's what I was looking for. No, Miguel Torres, sorry, is in Chile. It's different Torres. So, yeah.
Although it's the same company.
It's the same company, but Miguel Torres, which is a Spanish company, also has Chilean.
They've been making wine in Chile since the 1970s.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they do a beautiful job with the wines that they make down there as well.
We have not been to South America on a wine trip. I've been on hiking trips and adventure trips, but we want to. This wine, we've not tasted it yet, but I got to tell you, it's got a great name and it's got a great label. It's called Serena. I wonder if Serena Williams likes it. And it is from the Central Valley in Chile, a 2024. And the grape is single variety Cinso. So a pale rosé, delicate, light strawberries and notes of pomegranate. And it's de-alcoholized.
Oh, there you go. So you can drink it for breakfast.
It's a Serena Mode 0.0. Now, we have not tasted that yet. It'll be interesting to try.
We haven't tried that. Another Chilean Miguel Torres wine that I like, and it's a sparkling wine, is the Miguel Torres Estelado.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We've had this a number of times. I've covered it a couple of times in my writing, and we've also talked about it on the show in the past. The Estelado is made from a grape called País, which was for a long time the most planted grape in South America, and the original grape. It's also called the Mission grape,
right? And it's making a comeback
in California, and it's kind of making a comeback because of Miguel Torres and their production of this wine, and it's just a delightful rosé sparkling wine made from the País grape.
It's a terrific wine. We when we did our roundup last year, we had it and we talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think when we did our sparkling wine roundup as well. Again, you'll be getting interesting rosés from Argentina and Chile. We actually were just sent a white Malbec, which has nothing to do with rosé, but it was the only white Malbec we've ever had from Trevento, and it was pretty interesting. It was good, low alcohol.
It was a nice light white wine.
Yeah, so they're making anything there because at the end of the day, everybody wants to sell more wine.
I think in the end, we all know wine consumption is down.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of reasons for that. People aren't drinking as much. I heard the other day that 40% of the U.S. population doesn't drink wine.
Yeah, I think
so if they're or doesn't drink alcohol. So if they're not drinking, that leaves only 60% of the population to actually be the wine drinkers. And they also have chunks being taken out of their consumption because there's a lot more out there to drink these days. We all know that.
Right.
THC beverages in the places that allow them in the States.
Right.
Hard seltzers, ciders, beer, all that stuff. That is all taking a chunk out of the wine market and the wine sales initiatives. So the wineries are doing whatever they can now to attract new drinkers. Young drinkers are more inclined to have fresher, fruitier, funner wines that they can just celebrate with.
And they like lower alcohol. So wines like these are doing very well. Yeah. It's like, the challenge is the 40% are not drinking, and there's so many reasons why. Okay. It's not always health and wellness. It could be religious. It could be a variety of things. The 60% who are drinking, who is drinking a lot of wine? Seniors. They are drinking a lot of wine, but it's just like ice cream. They like vanilla. I mean, they like their traditional flavors more than the funky flavors. They want their and they want butter. They want the best butter pecan. They don't just want vanilla. They want the best French vanilla, the best butter pecan. That's how they are with wine. So more people should be marketing their wines to seniors because and seniors are like 50 and older. So, young people are experimenting with different things. Seniors, not so. They're not going out there and buying the latest THC or the hard seltzers because they just want a great bottle of wine.
Yeah, they're drinking less and they're drinking very good.
Yeah, and they're bringing more. And that's kind of our theory. Drink less, but drink better. And that's why premiumization, which is the buzzword at every wine event we go to, it's all about premiumization and going for quality.
Right.
And if you must stock your wine refrigerator and your cooler, go for quality. Buy less, go for quality. Now, we'd like to spend more time in South America trying the wines because I just read an interesting article. I sent it to you, a link about regions that are making amazing rosé that you may not ever have thought of. And one was Uruguay. So that means the Tannat grape is being used to make the rosé wine. We'd love to try it. I think Uruguay Tannat is terrific. We have a friend who is making wine in Croatia. Croatia or Slovenia? Croatia.
I think it's Croatia.
Yeah, Elizabeth Gabay. She is actually a rosé expert who lives in the south of France and is a master of wine and lectures all around Europe with her colleague and son Ben, and she is actually experimenting with making rosé in Croatia, which this journalist who writes for Forbes said is another area to look at. She also did a nod to South Africa. Our good friend Suzanne Lang imports South African wines to South wines, and has brought over some rosés for us to try, and that's another terrific area. I don't know if we've ever had a rosé made from Pinotage, but we've had some good rosés from there. And of course, Austria and Germany. Now, you've been to Austria. I haven't, but Vineyard Brands has sent us some interesting Austrian and German wines to try, and I butcher all the names in this one. This is not my best language. But Weingut Leumer Rosé.
Glücklich.
Weingut Leumer Glücklich Rosé from the Niederösterreich area. I can't pronounce it. But I can tell you, having studied it, it is one of the largest and best quality regions for producing Austrian wine. And it's the Zweigelt, Saint Laurent, and Pinot Noir blend. So blended. This is a dark, I'm looking at it now, the wine. It's a dark rosé. And it looks like it's going to be terrific with like dark plum and cranberry and raspberry and a fruitier style. I really can't wait to try it. Yeah. And it's from Fred Leumer, who's a very famous Austrian winemaker.
Yeah, we've had a number of the Leumer wines over the years, and they're very good.
This wine is 24 SRP, non-vintage. I can't wait to try this because I think that one, we want to explore this area more. And two, I have a thing for the darker ones. The other one that looks really interesting is Ingrid Gross Rosé, also from Austria, $24, Pinot Noir Zweigelt. And it just looks, it's a beautiful bottle, very elegant. And clearly, I would assume Ingrid is a woman winemaker. Looks like a terrific wine. Says everything about this wine is tender, soft pink color, subtle nose of berries, and gentle and precious. I'm in. I like soft rosés. I don't like them to be in your face, grippy. We have a friend who's a Mary Taylor who likes crunchy rosé, crunchy wines that really crunch from the soil, I think is what she means, and have great acidity, minerality. But I like that in my rosés as well. But I also like that fruit to come through where it's not just bone dry. Yeah. For me, bone dry wine is what you have as an aperitif. And then as you progress through the meal, the fruit should progress with the food. We have a lot of spicy food here in Louisiana. We have a lot of seafood. So rosé is just perfect for here. Now, you also have things like Lambrusco, Rosé Lambruscos, which are terrific with that light frisant. I mean, rosé can be made any style. Sparkling, frizzante, still. We haven't even touched on the wines from the United States, but there's so many.
A number.
Yeah.
And really, again, made all over the country. New York makes great rosés. Virginia makes beautiful rosés. Obviously, California makes some wonderful rosés as well.
I like the Virginia rosés. I like the Virginia New York ones because they tend to be Cabernet Franc and Pinot Noir, which is really my favorite. I don't like the rosés as much made from Cabernet Sauvignon. It's just a personal thing. But you know what? We also, just a little note aside, the East Coast was hit by a major spring freeze this year, which has devastated the vines because they had already started to bud break. So if you can show some love to the East Coast, Virginia wines and New York State wines right now, we'd love it because they could use it. I think they lost a huge amount of berries this past harvest, and that's not good.
Potential berries.
Yeah, potential berry. Yeah, right. Anyway, rosé. We say rosé all day, but we say rosé, of course. We don't care about the think pink, drink pink, and all the kitsch. But if you like it, we don't really care. We want you to just enjoy rosé and go out and experiment. Go try, buy a group. And great entertaining tip, go and buy a bottle of rosés, like a basket of rosés, and bring it to somebody's house if you're a guest for the summer. It's a great gift, a basket of rosés and a beautiful picnic basket.
And if you bring the Serena Mode 0.0 rosé from Miguel Torres in Chile, you can drink it all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great gift idea, and one that your hostess or host would appreciate. It's just a picnic basket of rosés, and maybe inside some fruit, some cheeses to go with them.
Yeah. So it seems the rosé juggernaut has yet to expire. It's not slowing down much at all. There's more out there than ever, and they're just getting better and better. And from new places every year, we find some great stuff coming in.
Yeah. Rosé's on a roll.
Yeah, it is.
And we're glad for that. And we're glad that the weather's warming up, and we hope that everybody gets out and buys it. We've enjoyed talking about it. I don't know, my mouth is starting to water. I think we may have to pull something out tonight to try. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of our Rosé Roundup from the Connected Table. You can see a lot of these wines. We'll write them up on the Connected Table Substack and blog, which we invite you to follow and subscribe to, please. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Connected Table. Meanwhile, we encourage you to eat, drink, and explore around the world with us every week, and always stay insatiably curious. Thank you.